And here it is, guys, the finished product, how I destroyed my breakfast omelet. Alright, it's still going to taste really good. Let's go give it a shot and I'll tell you exactly how good it is. Okay guys, so here I am with my destroyed breakfast omelet. And even though I destroyed it, it smells absolutely wonderful. And what I like to do is, actually, I like to have a little guacamole with my breakfast omelet. It's just really, really good. Nice and creamy. First bite, guys. Salute. Mmm. Oh yeah. Absolutely perfect. What I normally do is, when I go to make my breakfast omelet, and I would say 9 times out of 10, my go-to breakfast is cheese omelet filled with something, you know, that we have in the house. Either it be a leftover, ham, spam, something. But in this case, I made a meatloaf on Friday. And guess what we had left over? Meatloaf. So I put a little meatloaf, I put a little cheese. Boy, today is going to be a hot day. We got a heat alert posted, which is not really making me very excited. Mmm. Mmm. Very, very good. For something that is totally destroyed, it's got all the key flavors. The meatloaf is very, very good. As always, very cheesy, ooey gooey. It's really good. Mm. Mm. So what's going on, guys? Anything? Not much here. Pretty much same old, same old. Off today. Back at work tomorrow. It's always rough after a long weekend. And tomorrow I have to go into the city. And it's probably going to be hot. So pretty much the way it works is that if it's hot here on Long Island, you can guarantee about 10 additional degrees in the city. It's you really feel it. It's absolutely amazing. With all the concrete and brick and just the lack of green in the city, it really, really gets very steamy. And the streets freaking stink. Oh my good Lord. And even the subways are like the worst. If you want to smell like really bad stuff, and I mean like urine and garbage and whatever, if you go on a really hot summer humid day in New York City, boy, and you just need to get a clothespin on your nose, it's really, really that bad. So that's what I get to look forward to tomorrow. And pretty much what I do is I catch a really early train going in, because I just love to get in early. I am more of a early person than a late person, so I prefer to get in really early. So I take a 6:25 out of Hicksville. And what's nice about that train is that the train is waiting for me, so I'm the first one on board. Sit comfy cozy in the air conditioning and I read the New York Post all the way in. I don't sleep, guys. Not on the train. Not on the train going in. I have slept on the train going out back home, and it's proved to be a disaster. I can't tell you the number of times that Julie had to pick me up in Ronkonkoma because I overslept. So I just went all the way to Ronkonkoma, and somebody wakes me up, last stop, pal, and I get out and I'm freaking freezing cold on the platform waiting for Julie. It was just amazing. So I try not to sleep on the way home, but what I do is I pretty much watch Netflix on my iPad, you know, going home. It's really good. Really, really good, guys. Even though it looks like garbage, it tastes good. So the next time you see garbage, remember this. Looks are only skin deep. It's really true. Anyway. Now, one of the things that people think, and pretty much during the course of me commuting into the city, people always tend to think that commuting into the city is really, really difficult. And one of the things that I remember when I first started working in the city is that indeed it's tiring, because in the city, every place you go, you're walking. Either you're taking a subway, so you're climbing up and down stairs, you know, the platform, the street you're walking, so you're walking off of curbs. You know, so pretty much what will happen is your ankles will get really, really strong because you're not used to some of the uneven pavements in the city. So I noticed that. Like when I first started working in the city, I took a really, really bad spill on the street. And it's because the street was a little bit uneven, and my ankles were not pretty much sort of conditioned to walk in those kind of situations, and I basically took a spill. I wish I would have had it on video. It was so embarrassing. But anyway, working in the city initially was a little bit tough for me. You know, the smog, the pollution, you do feel it, but quickly thereafter you get used to it. Now, the one thing about commuting on the railroad, I spend about $300 a month to commute into the city. And, well, that's, let's say, a monthly pass. And one thing about the railroad is people would say, oh man, you got to go on the railroad. It's really a pain in the wazoo. It's not. It's a very, very comfortable, stress-free situation. And in my case, I get on the train, I read the paper, I'm comfortable, I'm cool. It is really, really a nice way to go into work. There is absolutely no stress. Whereas when I was driving into work, I'd be dealing with the traffic, I would be dealing with just the jerks on the road, and by the time I get to work, I'd be all stressed out. And this doesn't happen when you're going into the city. I guess it could, depending on the branch that you're taking, but mine works out really, really well. And what's nice about being in Hicksville, where I'm at, and I'm located in Hicksville on Long Island, basically it is the center of Long Island, and all the trains basically run through Hicksville. And then what they do is they split. Now, there are splits, you know, near Jamaica and stuff like that, but what's nice is that I can get a train anytime within 10 or 15 minutes. So it's really, really good. And why am I talking about my commute? I don't know. Why am I talking about my commute? I don't know what else to talk about. Talk about me. Yeah, so that's about it, guys. This is really, really good. Really satisfying. I really don't know if this is keto friendly. Now, the meatloaf is basically all beef. I did put some breadcrumbs in, so it's probably not keto. Yeah, so it is a problem. But I've been thinking about sort of transitioning to a high protein, sort of low carb sort of diet. I've been pretty much watching my carbs, and all of the meals that I would have in the past. I would have a big roll and sandwich and, you know, dipping bread, and I no longer do that. So I'm making these really, really small changes, and they're having a big impact. And one thing with the food reviews, I'm trying to make smarter choices, if possible. You know, sometimes it's impossible, you know. I try to stay away from some stuff that's not that, you know, healthy. But then again, sometimes I have no choice, and I just, basically what you see on camera is basically all I eat. So 1, 2, 3 bites, do my rating, and I bring it home. And there are many, many people that I have here that are going to indulge. And pretty much what I do is I'll go out and do a review, bring the leftovers home. Julie comes home from work, and then I have her do a mini review. And a lot of times we're pretty much in sync with our feelings on certain things, so it's pretty cool watching her reaction. And she ends up finishing it, which is good. And some things that we don't finish, and if it's safe for the dog to eat, guess what Whiskey gets? And one thing about Whiskey, he likes everything. The only thing that he didn't like is I did a, I don't know, I'll put a link in the description below here, guys. You could go and check it. I reviewed a buffalo pork sandwich from Burger King, and it had some chunks of char. I don't know, the oven they used or the stove. It had some issues, and it was this big like piece of lava. So I brought this thing home, the sandwiches home after I did my review, and I gave it to Whiskey, making sure that there wasn't any pieces that would hurt him. And pretty much what happened was, he took his first bite swallow, and he spit it up. I was basically shocked. But yeah, he's getting to be an old dog, or he is an old dog. We got him from my parents in 2003 actually. And this is a really, really funny story. My parents decided to move down to Florida. So the house was sold, they got their stuff cleaned out, my brother and I packed the truck up, and my parents flew first class, right? And then my brother and I were, sort of our job was to get their stuff down to Florida, and also to bring Whiskey with us, because they didn't want no part of, you know, taking him on first class. So my brother has the bright idea, you know what, this was like, we were leaving on a Saturday, the Friday before, he says, you know what, let's leave the dog in the bathroom. You know, he had his bowl, his little bed or whatever he had, and we'll come back in the morning as we're leaving and pick him up. And at that time, the house, my parents' house that they sold, was all cleaned out. There was nothing left in the house except Whiskey and his bowls. So 5 o'clock comes, we go get the truck, fill it up with gas. we go to the house, we open up the door to the bathroom, and there is feces all over the floor. He took a crap, and I don't know if he rolled in it, but he was covered in poop. So you want to talk about a situation. There were no towels in the house. There was nothing. There was nothing. So anyway, we got him cleaned up, and then we put him in this little pet carrier. And then he sat between my brother and I as I'm driving down to Florida. So we're in we just got to Jersey, and pretty close to one of the rest stops. And I said to my brother, I said, "Did you fart?" This is not me. I was like, it wasn't me. So freaking Whiskey took a dump in the carrier. I was like, what? So you want to talk about, so we had to get this freaking dog out of the carrier, poop and all. We had to go get wipes. Oh my God, guys, it was such a freaking disaster. All right, so we managed to get him down to Florida. He was pretty good the rest of the ride. What we did was we tranquilized him. My dad gave me some pet pills or something that, you know, sort of calms the dog down for these big rides. Get down to Florida. Everything's unloaded, and my parents have this beautiful house. It's a, you know, typical Floridian house with the lanai, the pool, really, really big living room area, and they had a nice bedroom off of the kitchen with their own bath, and then the other side of the house there were 3 bedrooms. Anyway, to make a long story short, we get Whiskey. And Whiskey is doing his normal thing, you know, running around, sniffing and barking and doing his thing. And my brother, mother, and I were sitting out on the lanai, and they just got brand new carpet in the house. And we're looking through the sliding glass doors, windows, and there's Whiskey. So we're watching him, and he's sniffing right near the corner of the relatively new leather sectional. So he's sniffing. All of a sudden, the leg goes up, and he pees all over the side of the couch. My dad's like, that's it. No more dog. He says, Joey, you're taking that dog, and you're going to give that dog up for adoption. Oh, but he was just fed up, you know. So my mother starts crying. That's her baby. You know, my mother babied this dog, but my mother really wasn't good at training the dog, taking the dog out. So really what happened was the dog peed all over the freaking house in Jericho where I lived, and just wasn't trained, and it wasn't the dog's fault. But my father just had enough. He had it. And my mother's crying, you know, you can't, you know, give him away. And then everybody looks at me. You take him, Joe. I was like, what? Yeah, you take him back to New York with you. You take care of the dog. We, you know, obviously, your mother's not going to be able to do it. So, my brother's like, you could do it, Joe. I'll help you out. So I called Julie. I say, Julie, listen, here's the situation. Do you want the dog? Now, he's a Westie. I think they paid like $800. The dog was born in Ireland. He barks with a brogue. No, he doesn't bark with a brogue. I'm kidding. But, you know, he was born in Ireland. And, you know, he's a purebred. And I said, Julie, it's up to you. I said, you know, the dog's going to be a problem until we train him. She's like, yeah, bring him back. So, that's the whole Whiskey story, guys. So we've had Whiskey now since 2003. So that puts him, he's 15 years. And in dog years, he's quite an old man. He's over 100. And he still has accidents in the house once in a while. But, like I said, that's not his fault. You know, we're just so damn busy. We try to take him out as much as possible. We know exactly when he has to go. You know, his routine now is he's up. He's pretty much up at night sometimes. And in the morning, when we get up, he's standing there in the kitchen ready to go. Ready to go. Ready to go. He's ready to go outside. So we take him outside. He does his business. He comes back. If it's really hot outside, he doesn't want to be out there, you know, for maybe more than 5 minutes. So we let him in. Looks at his bowl. You know, sticks his nose up. You know, the dog has sort of an attitude. And, you know, I deal with it. You know, I guess everybody has attitude. The dog has a definite attitude. You give him some good food. He sniffs at it, lifts his nose up, and runs away. And then, before you know it, when we're not looking at it, he's devouring all the food. So, he's kind of weird in certain ways. He's totally lost his hearing. He does not hear anymore. Years ago, when we would have a bad thunderstorm, oh man, he would go nuts. I mean, freaking nuts, barking and running around the house and really nervous. Now, nothing. Nothing. He doesn't hear. We could have the worst storm in the world and he'll sleep right through it. And forget about barking. You know, somebody comes up to the house, he don't bark no more. Somebody come in, basically rob the whole place, he'd be sleeping. That's all he does. That's all he does, guys. An old dog, man, just sleeps all day. It's just amazing how much that dog can sleep. But he's a good boy. He's cute. You know, we every time we go on vacation, we take him. You know, make sure we feed him really good. We don't know really how long he's going to be with us, so we make sure that he's well taken care of. We make sure he's well groomed. So, that's my big whiskey story, guys. He's a good dog. Starting to get cataracts too. But, you know, other than that, physically, you know, no problems at all. You know, his coat is good. His eyes got a little bit of a, you know, you can tell there's cataracts developing. But hey, you know, he's over 100 and something years old. What do you expect? The hearing's gone. And the one thing about Westies is that they bark a lot. And since he pretty much lost his hearing, he doesn't bark that much anymore. And it's really been a pleasure because he's, you know, you would hear a door slam. You know, he'd be barking his butt off. So in that sense, you know, it's been all right. You know. It's going to be a really tough day when we lose him. You know, it's going to be rough. But that's life for you. You know, the one thing I won't miss is, you know, getting his food, making sure he's taken care of. But, you know, we lose a lot of flexibility when we have him. And, like, you know, it's tough to go out to eat. You know, you got to worry about the dog. Can't leave the dog in the car. That's a no-no. I don't even care if it's cool out. We don't do that, you know. And on a recent trip to Buffalo, you know, I basically had to sit out in the car with whiskey. I didn't want to leave him alone, you know. I didn't want to get into a situation up there. But they really gave Julie the opportunity. You know, my son goes to university at Buffalo, and we just recently brought him, you know, starting his 3rd year. And I just had to sit out in the car, which is no big deal. Well, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this little chat. It's been very, very therapeutic. Nothing like talking into a microphone. Nothing like talking into a camera and nobody's there to talk back to you. All right, guys, take care. This is first in a series of many. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope you got something out of the stories. A little bit about me and us. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.